Okay, thanks. All right, so the teaching that I'm going to give today is about the office of the Christ, the process of trying to help this planet and trying to establish an outcome that is in the mind of God. But everybody is in this other place where they have other opinions about how bad this place is or their life is and circumstances are. And that influences a great deal of life. It influences everything. Because in delusionary teaching, whether it be Christian or Muslim or Buddhism, when the teaching comes delusionary, it doesn't put the responsibility on the person. And it is the responsibility of everyone. The weakest link is the biggest problem. And we're all on that chain. One makes this weak. One. So no one could go, oh, I'm really the weakest link. But just imagine if we all try, the chain gets stronger. And we heal from not being connected, from not believing in Christ. Because my thing isn't about your delusionary process, of what it's like for you to be God, or for you to have control over matter, and be all freaked out because you don't have that control. In God's case, it's not that way. God is incredibly patient. And if you can just imagine God looking at all this and dealing with all this, and all he's got is me. And that is unsettling, because my history on this planet has a great deal of difficulty creating a foundation as to where I'm at in my teaching. So my work, it happens through transmission. I pick back up where I left off. And I have to be quiet, because I'm listening to myself from the past, of the hard work that I put into it. And it gets back into me, and it becomes the person that I am. And that's why I could handle what I handled on that cross. But it didn't make it any easier. That's how hard it is for me. If you imagine that situation, that's my daily situation. Whether it be I'm having the whips or I'm not, I'm in the center, and I'm calling it on, and I absorb it. And it heals. It becomes less war. It's just in the energy. It's in the cycle of the genetic stream, where you're inhuman, you become human. When you're not compassionate and suffering, how can you be compassionate when you're suffering? It's impossible. How can you be empathetic when you're suffering? When no one's empathetic for you. So that's the link that I hold. My process is that I stay quiet as much as I can, so that I can bring myself, my own personal life, back into people's life. So I stay quiet. So in 1990, I'm like 39 years old, and I cannot tell anybody that I'm the reincarnation of Jesus. I can't. It's an agreement between me and God. No ego here, boy. None. You can't say it. If you do, you're in deep shit. You don't say it until I tell you to say it, until all things are what they're supposed to be, and you start getting transmission, and all these things happen. But I got to do a lot of things before that takes place. So by the time 1990 came, I had to be the next Buddha. I had to make transition between the last Buddha and myself. I had to go sit with the previous Buddha. So I had to go where the previous Buddha left his body, or left his tooth, or left transmission. And I received that transmission of his prophecy of my coming, and his compassion, and wisdom, understanding, and the ability for me to make it through the next day, made it possible for me to get from 1990 to the year 2000. So by the time I got to the year 2000, I was enthroned as Buddha Maitreya. But it was without anybody knowing it. Yeah, and there was no news team there, even though I was from America. There was a movie made, but there was no connection to me, and me being that person. Yeah, so there's a great deal of veiling process, despite the fact that I'm recapitulating my light. I'm doing right. I'm doing all the right things. Yeah, but there is so much war. It just puts out my light. Yeah, it turns that enormous light into just barely enough light to keep this body going and the world moving and changing. No, nothing big, nothing fast, nothing overwhelming. No one knows Christ is on the planet, that's for sure. That's how much war does that to Christ and the office of the Christ and the understanding that anybody, not even one person, can meet Christ and know that that's Christ. Simply because we're all on this chain. We're all on the same chain. It's not this disciple or this person's going to know me before somebody else knows me. Everybody's going to know me at the same time. Once the ship cuts down and war sets back a bit and allows me to continue radiating moment to moment, second to second, moment to moment, second to second, and have it pulse as far as it can all the way back and reach light year. Light year is where God's at. So that means I have to stay in meditation, complete focus for at least a year in order to reach light year. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whatever you do here, it happens a year whole later, a light year away. Yeah. But maybe God's there. Maybe there's great consciousness there. Maybe there's great understanding there. Yeah. So my meditation has me the ability to reach out cosmically, monadically, into influences that could change the world technologically in advances, and their ability to be compassionate, be empathetic, because we're not the only chain. Does that make sense? That's where I come from. That's Christ. Yeah. I'm not here out of the body of this planet. I'm not, other people's, somebody that you can relate to that closely. I'm really far out unique. Yeah. And I'm not alone in that. And so in the consciousness of meditation, when I meditate, I don't just make transmission with myself, but I make transmission with where Buddha came from. Does it make sense? I'm the one who, if Buddha was sitting there, I'd be the one who'd say, that is Buddha. And I'd make him know he's Buddha. Does it make sense? Yeah. Because that's what Buddha said at the time of his Buddhahood. And this guy here is going to be the next Buddha. Yeah. But that's just between me and Buddha. Buddha and Buddha. Yeah. It's not a thing, It's not a religion. It's a consciousness. So in 1990, I went to Buddha's Tooth, and I went to the place where the original tree from Bodh Gaya was brought. Only one specific place it was taken to, which was Srinagar. Because Buddha and all the bodhisattvas go to Srinagar. If you study this stuff, you'll find out all the bodhisattvas go to Srinagar. Yeah. And they go to this one spot and they recapitulate. Yeah. And then they begin their life. But it triggers Buddha nature inside the cells of everybody else. So everybody else all of a sudden is now evolving into Buddha nature. Not a choice we had. So in 1990, as I made transmission, everybody got hit. So we went from 1990 to the year 2000, and you could see an enormous number of false prophets leaving the planet from 1990 to the year 2000, and shortly after the year 2000. Yeah, it started really thinning out. Yeah, so it's from this transmission. So I'll show you this meditation that I did. Figure out it's a new. I think that's it. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's it. All right. This is Sri Lanka. At that time, I had only 10 days. I was given a reprieve. I was given 10 days from my existing social life, circumstances and people that I had in my life. They have commitments in their life, and you better follow them, or they'll make hell out of your life. So while I live in people's lives, I was given a reprieve for 10 days, and I was very honest about it, saying that I probably might not come back, that I'm a tuku, and that I'm going to go to Tibet soon, and all this kind of stuff. So I was given a reprieve. I was allowed to leave, and I immediately went for 10 days from the bottom of India to the top of India in Nepal. And I went to the sacred sites that I always go to in every life. And that's a lot of traveling. But I also had to go to Sai Baba's house and grab Sai Baba's foot and stop him, because he was in charge of everybody's emotional body on this planet. And people don't know it, because they just practice those pseudo sciences, and they channel astrally the process of psychic ability to read other people or feel other people's worst fears, and project those and have no control over those. And that's a normal thing that goes on inside society. So I went here, and this is a place where the tree was at and where a great deal of transmission is at. So I'm sitting there with this interesting ball. You'll see this glass ball that I have in front of me, and that glass ball is an orb of gases that allows elemental transmission of incredible purity. So it allows me to kind of move away from human impurity and move toward the gases rather than the material plane. But yet they still make up the material plane. So my focus was in those gases, and it allowed those gases to remain focused, and it gave me a very clear connection between myself and the future of this planet, and the demonic aspects that were holding the planet. And I allowed myself to sit there for 8 hours, and just in that case, and by the time I was done, I gained 45 pounds. 45 pounds. You can see it on me there. It's quite big. And if you had seen a picture of me just prior to going there and sitting down, I was considerably thinner. So that happens to me. And when I go places, I absorb a lot of stuff, and there could be really a great deal of imperil put in a very sacred site that keeps that site from ever having been acknowledged, like Lumbini or even the other places. So this was one of those sites. And so I just grew bigger and bigger. But as I absorbed it, I was absorbing the future, the elements of the future, and the people that I will meet in my life, as long as I live in this life. All the people that I will meet came to me, and I blessed them. And I made it possible for them to meet me. And sometime between their meeting me and their death, they realize who I am. And it begins a cycle of allowing Christ to be on earth. Yeah? So that's a 30-year cycle. 30 years. That was in 1990. And that goes to the year 2020. So in the year 2020, because I know that the Antichrist reappears and externalizes on earth around 2020 to 2022. So it's no matter how I feel about life and I don't want to do things or whatever, I have to do something. Yeah, so that something means that I have to externalize and I have to take a great deal of psychic position in this. So if you see this video, you'll see that I have this globe up to my head and I'm absorbing all the negative qualities of people in the year 2020, this very day. And you can see 10 years later, I'm enthroned as Buddha Maitreya in Tibet. But still, after that, I wasn't recognized. You know, the Dalai Lama wouldn't allow me to be enthroned openly. You know, all these things were really intense. So those are the processes that go on in trying to develop the office of the Christ. Because it's not a religion, it's an office. But there's no office. There's no office. There's no structure for the office. It's humanity that allows the Christ to be the Christ by their humanity, their lack of war, their peace, their demonstration of love. Yeah. Once that comes, then all of a sudden they're resonating like a bell, like a chorus with Christ, and there's no more, But until then, I'm going to absorb that shit, and it's not a problem. What comes, whether it be this day or the next day or the next day. But I know I'm lucky enough, I'm blessed enough to know the cycles of change that are coming. So I could sit in faith in the process like I did on the cross. I can sit in faith knowing that this will take me 2,000 years to get over this. But hey, what's 2,000 years? And you've been here for millions of years. And you've been doing the same thing. And this is close to accomplishing having this stop. Yeah? And war is only against God. It doesn't do anything but harm God from blessing humanity and making humanity humane. So there's that, it's like a bridge. And that's the office of the Christ. People have to knock on the door. People have to make a commitment. And they have to know they can't break that commitment because there are rules on the door. You can read them. You can feel them. You know every single one of them by heart. Yeah? So that's the office of the Christ. You can't get past this point until those rules are in yourself. Part and parcel of what you do as your lifestyle is what you do. You no longer are led to war and facilitating it. Yeah? And all the elements that go along with it are just released. And every single thing that's on that door, a law of love, become your being, the person that you are, the person that you express. Yeah? And that makes the office of the Christ, and that creates the hierarchy. Those people who understand this, get through that door, have full understanding, and live in that place, that's the beginning of the hierarchy. And that's when people begin receiving the blessings that come from the hierarchy through transmission. Because every day is a struggle, not just for me, but for everybody. Yeah. So what I'm trying to explain is that struggle is part of the chain. Yeah. And that my thing is that I can take on more than you think. Yeah. And the energy and the influence that I take on in absorbing that, isn't the negative side of things for me. Yeah. It's a process. It's just a process. And that's the same for everybody else who's going through whatever they go through. We all have to come to this understanding of faith. This is how Christ deals with it. This is how I'm going to deal with it. Because it ain't any better for me than it is you. It's just I'm less complaining. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I sit in it, you know, and then I try and deal with it in the most best way. Yeah, and move forward as fast as I can because I want to get the frick out of there, you know, and have a good day. Yeah, does that make sense? Because life is like that. We build good karma because we're good people, and shit happens because treacherous people are a part of our past, and it will continue pulling us down until we've cleared the imperil or the impurities that are in your body. Slowly but surely, you must let them go. Yeah, and they'll never come back. Yeah. All right, so let's meditate. Yeah. Okay, let's do the invocation. Okay, just repeat after me. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad to guide me into the right activity in the plan. To clarify and stimulate my mind. To transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. To energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body. So there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
therefore know my mother. I use a body. That body is not me. I serve the group, and in this serving live within the body, detached, a son of God. I know myself. I infuse a body. I am its life, and in that life shall I see life. That life is known as love. I am the love of God. I know the Father, and I know His life is love. I am the body and its loving life. I am the self whose quality is love. I am the life of God Himself. The Mother, Father, Son am I. Behind these three stands the unknown God. That God am I. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of mankind. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of mankind. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men and women, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, we call the race of mankind. Let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. I call upon the one most high God. To let the disciple know the nature of his Lord of love. Seven, the aspects of love of God. 7, the colors of the manifesting one. Sevenfold, the word. 7, the energies. And sevenfold, the path back to the center of peace. Let the disciple live in love, and love in life. The soul is the Son of God, the product of the union of spirit and matter. The soul is an embodiment of consciousness of mind, the expression of divine intelligent awareness. The soul is a unity of energy, vibrating in unison with one of the 7 ray lives, and colored by a particular ray of light. The personality of the soul is the embodiment of love, applied intelligently, producing an attractive form which will serve to express that loving intelligence. The soul is intended to be the embodiment of divine purpose, applied in great active creativity, which produces the power of creative love. We are born of the love of Father for the Mother, of the desire of life for form. Express the love, the magnetic attractiveness of God's nature, and the responsiveness of form nature. And the I am consciousness itself of the awareness of deity in life. I am a messenger of light. I am a pilgrim on the way of love. I do not walk alone, but I know myself as one with all great souls, and one with them in service. Their strength is mine. This strength I claim. My strength is theirs, and this I freely give. A soul, I walk on earth. I represent the One. God moves the world. The past has gone. I am that past. It makes me what I am. The future comes. I also am the coming destiny, and therefore I am that. From out the past. The future colors that which is. I make the future also by my present knowledge of the past and the beauty of the present. And therefore I am that I am. Within the circle of the will of God I stand. Without the radius of the world of glamour I take my place. And there I stand. Before the open door that just reveals a different lighted way, I take my stand. Before the presence, I will take my place, and there will firmly stand. And stand I see. incentive of our aspiration on the path. Love is the substance of our living in the world. Love is the light and the light of freedom from all creatures. Love pulses through the universe in a divine rhythm. Love is the consciousness of God. May the holy ones whose disciple I am show me the light I seek. May all mankind, may all humanity of all knowledge, may all light on earth make manifest the soul in all things, all life. I invoke the radiant golden sun to manifest the thread of the soul into the kingdoms of the elementals, into the kingdoms of the vegetables, the animals, into the astral plane. I invoke all humanity to become the caretakers of the kingdom of God. I invoke the will of God as the soul. I stand before the judgment seat of my soul. I am that soul. All love and light am I. I serve the world and lose myself in service. This is my life, and this is the way that I will tread until the day be with us all. Bring forth points of energy within themselves, inaugurating certain new techniques in work and in modes of communication. I invoke the group of telepathic communicators. I invoke the group of trained observers. I invoke the group of magnetic healers. I invoke the group of the educators of this new age. I invoke the group of political organizers. I invoke the group of the workers in the field of religion. I invoke the group of scientific servers. I invoke the group of psychologists. I invoke the group of financiers and economists. I invoke all creative workers as the new group. I invoke the externalization of the inner existing of conditions within these groups. You're the manifestation and the externalization of the avatar.
Okay, just relax. Okay, just open your eyes. So there's a lot in the process of trying to build the office of the Christ. It's built in the second ray. Yeah. So I don't have any. I don't have the alternative. The intellectual. I don't have all the things that are the average normal thing that you would expect in ways in which you would think to do things. Yeah. I don't do things in those ways. Yeah. So I do things in the second ray way. It's just the nature of my being. Yeah. And my mind works in my second ray, and my body is second ray. I absorb shit like I can't help it. And, I just stay calm and try and make it better, And that's all I got is second ray and to build this thing. Yeah. So it's in religion, you would have books and you would have all these things, to go on, which gives you a little bit more of an identity of spirituality. Yeah. But when it comes down to Christ, my reality is that I'm a savior. Yeah. And so I embody God's love. Yeah. And I'm pure. I was born that way. And I've never done anything to defile that. Yeah. So I'm not working against trying to keep myself from being impure. That's my thing, is that I am pure. So that's what I try and share and help everybody else to become pure. And all it is God's love. God keeps you pure. It just does it. Yeah. And it's really difficult unless you've been moved, through your lower body, through your emotional body, which takes you down to your lower mind. And then all those things, you're out of control. And you have no control over building those impurities, none. And I'm at the heart and up here, so I have good, wise thinking. I have, really good thing, in the heart, but I don't have the other things that work with the solar plex that people, identify with. Yeah. So I wouldn't come out like a religious leader like that, and I don't make notes before I sit down and do things, I'm 100% spontaneous, yeah. And that's because I'm so second ray. I trip over myself if I try and be anything else other than that. I'm like a klutz, yeah. But if I'm myself, I'm very graceful and very strong and very capable. But if I'm pushed into any of these things, then all of a sudden, I better sit down, you know. Yeah, because it's very second ray. So the influence of mine is through meditation. That's why I do what I do. That's why I do soul therapy. That's why I give the tools. That's why I'm a healer. Yeah. And my day-to-day life, even though you don't know me in real reality, but if you knew me, you would know I'm a very quiet guy, and all I do is meditate. From the moment I wake up to the time I go to bed, even while I'm sleeping, I am on the job. Yeah, and I'm not worried, I'm not thinking or anything like that, but I am so psychic, so telepathic, so moved. I have to stay so calm, because the amount of responsibility for the office of the Christ is tremendous, beyond your wildest imagination. Yeah, and it's not the kind of responsibility you would think. It's just the ability to respond and stay calm as I'm being attacked, and try and absorb those things the best I possibly can, because there are cycles of time where that's not happening and everything's all great, but shit happens, yeah. And that's how the office is built, is through the teaching that they say in Buddhism, yeah, and trying to practice as much as you can in that way. Yeah. So in anybody's case, if anybody practices in that way, it facilitates the strengthening of the second ray. Yeah. So I know that by my own, survival. Yeah. This is what it is. Yeah. And it's the same in everybody else. We're all the same way. We don't really have freedom to think that we are anything else other than love. And we can't go at war with people, and we can't. We can't. It's just not really possible. But it happens. So the influence of that energy, that sixth ray, is the only thing that's why it's called the Antichrist. It's the only thing that keeps the office of the Christ from having real reality. And there can be a million Antichrists running around claiming the power of the Christ, or the power of all those things. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. Because it's all under the influence of the truth. Yeah. And so really it's a matter of staying calm and clear and just doing your best. Yeah. So enjoy. Thank you.